Welcome to the Friends of Zane Adams, aka FOZA Podcast, bringing awareness of postpartum depression, suicides, and the children who are left behind. We'll be spotlighting positive outcomes from mothers as well as healthcare experts and counselors. Would you know the signs of PPD? Would you know how to help a loved one? Stay tuned. As a community, we can do more to support maternal mental wellness.
Welcome, FOZA fans, and thank you for joining in on a new FOZA podcast. This is Paulette Smith with episode 32. I want you to know that each time you tune into a podcast, you're taking an action that helps make us stronger in our efforts to bring about more awareness for maternal mental health. And every time you share a link or a hashtag or make a donation, it broadens the chances that a mom who's feeling down will look up and reach out for help. So thank you so very much for your continued support. Before beginning, I need to say a few words about triggers. This is a safe place. However, we may discuss topics that can be sensitive and may act as a trigger for some members of our audience. The content we discuss serves to provide information, education, and advocacy only. If you are experiencing an emergency, please call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. That's 988. And if you're not experiencing an emergency, you're seeking consultation, then please check with your doctor or professional caregivers. And if you feel that your voice is still not being heard, please don't give up seeking help. Visit us online at FOZAinc.org, and we'll try to assist you in finding resources in your local area, and you're never required to provide us with any private or sensitive information. Today, FOZA fans, we're honored to have with us Susan Aquayo, CEO and President of Kause. It's a 501c3 organization dedicated to spreading the awareness of perinatal depression that can be experienced during pregnancy. The birth of Kassy's Kause stemmed from the sudden and tragic death of Susan's daughter, Kassandra A. who died by suicide related to perinatal depression. We focus a lot on postpartum depression, but in this episode, we want to place our attention on the effects of not recognizing and treating perinatal depression and how devastating it can be when it's not properly diagnosed and left untreated. Yes, thankfully, research is improving. However, we still don't fully understand, and we may never fully understand the many ways our body can be triggered during the stressful situations in pregnancy. In Susan's words, pregnancy should be treated seriously with careful attention and compassion towards the needs of birthing people. So here to greet us in her own way, FOZA fans, let's welcome Susan Aquayo with Kassy's Kause.
Susan, welcome to the FOZA Podcast. How are you doing today?
Hi, thank you so much for inviting me.
I'm so glad that you're here. And I'm sincere when I say that because we have organizations that mirror each other. And even though we do, FOZA has been, and me personally, been long-time admirers of the work that you do with Kassy's Kause. And even though we share a heartbreaking alliance, we also share hope. And we have come to the agreement that we don't want any other families to experience what we've experienced, and we want to take that hope into the future. So what I want you to do is just start out by telling us about Kassy and, in your words, anything you want us to know.
Well, thank you so much for saying that. It's so true. I think, both of us have a heartbreaking story, but it's what we do with the tragedies we go through, and that's exactly what our family chose to do. Exactly 9 years ago, my daughter, Kassandra, we know her as Kassy, was in perinatal depression, and here locally in New Mexico, there wasn't enough resources and information regarding perinatal depression. As a matter of fact, the family wasn't aware that she was going through perinatal depression. Just what we thought To the eye, no more hormonal emotions, a roller coaster, very sensitive, what has been described, not sleeping well. And so when she would reach out to make comments on what she was partially feeling, we would say, well, that's very normal. Some experience, those feelings, in the first few months, especially when she was consistently vomiting. I kept telling her, due to the first trimester in some people's cases, she was reaching out to help, going to the hospital several times, and unfortunately, they didn't see any concern to really look further on. When she would talk about sleeping well or having panic attacks or excessively crying during her pregnancy or so excessively vomiting that she was dehydrated, she really referred her to the hospital to be put on IV. But none of it was done. And unfortunately, 9 years ago, at a very dark moment where she was done feeling she was going crazy because nobody was listening to her expressing there was something odd compared to what she compared to her older sister's pregnancies, to my experiences, to her friends' experiences, and she took her life. She took a life that really was not only to the family, but to the whole community. It was really hard for us to understand. I put something to the eye that looked like had everything going for her. She was married, her husband in college, she was graduating soon, she was great in school. It happened, just snapped fingers. And so I think our family realized that, the word, depression and in general, there's no look and there's no immunity to anybody experiencing. So we chose to open up in her name to help resource and support for moms.
Right. And that's why we were so glad just to hear your voice and to know how brave you are. And that's why we call it No One is Immune, because I think people in general, especially people who are not pregnant at the time, or people who are not in the mental health or maternal mental health field, they do feel as if they're immune. And I'm not ashamed to say we did not feel we were immune. We just didn't feel that there was a problem that we couldn't handle. And so that might have made us feel like we were immune. We could see some changes going on, but we felt very unwisely because we were not aware. We felt very unwisely that a mani-pedi and some rest and some girl time with her aunts and her sisters, with Christina, everything would get back on track because she was such a bright spirit. And when we look at Kassy, we see the same thing. But you talk about, and looking back, hindsight is 20/20. So looking back, we can also recognize different signs. We don't know. We couldn't separate the medical from the mental, from just the stress. We couldn't separate everything. As you mentioned, the different signs that you were seeing. But when we look back, we could see more clearly. So go ahead and tell us what you've learned about recognizing the medical, as you see them. Knowing, I know you're not a professional, a doctor or a professional medical person, but what you know now, signs.
I think the important part is allowing them to speak up. I think we surround ourselves so much with social media of having this perfect look, and we have the whole expectations of what mom should be like and look like. And I think the reality is that it's okay not to feel okay. It's okay to get up in the morning and not look like a beauty queen. It looks like someone that had a long day waking up every hour or two. And that nursing doesn't come easy, and that an experience of someone's pregnancy compared to someone else can't be. There's no black and white. There's no exact pregnancy how it should be. Everyone's different. And I think, comparing how my three older daughters, Kassy and her two other older sisters, how each of their pregnancies were different. Obviously, this was Kassy's first pregnancy. And her older sister had 2 children at the time. Now she has 4. And the other sister had 2. And even among them, their pregnancies were different. But I think we put so much pressure on women to be told, suck up, this is just a pregnancy. But the word, this is just a pregnancy, is just not fair to women, because you're not allowing them to speak up that, your aches and pains, or you're complaining about your legs look swollen, or you're complaining about how much more weight you gained than the other person, or just the complaining about the stretch marks. Every physical to the mental part of, will I be a good mother? Will I know what to do with this baby? Or even the point of, you're not getting up to do the things that you usually do every day. You might not be going to work or going to school, or even surrounding yourself by friends or family. And that's one of the things we look back at. She was always very family-oriented. We're a church-going family, so it seemed very common when my family, every Sunday at the church, everybody got together. But now there was always or she would tell her friends, no, not today, maybe next time. Little by little isolating, but again, we didn't really think much of it. We just kept thinking, well, she's very tired. Or her husband, who would say things like, it was a moment she was crying, another moment she was mad, it was a moment she was apologizing. Our whole, process of a pregnancy was a roller coaster. Come to find out, outside of just normal postpartum depression, we're talking about postpartum, OCD, postpartum bipolar, postpartum anxiety, to the level, if not caught on time, we're talking about postpartum psychosis. Now, I look back at the signs of, where, she didn't want to be alone. And I thought, because, she just moved into that new apartment her husband had, maybe she doesn't feel comfortable. But the more, we read her journal, and the more I surround myself with other moms, who explain those comments on not wanting to be left alone, because they're feeling anxiety. They started thinking these feeling of voices of, they're not going to be good enough, the mother, or they're not doing enough as a wife. So all the combination just bombards on someone who is not being allowed to speak up, who's not being allowed to explain without judgment of what she's thinking and feeling. So I think the most important part that we need to really relate to families and friends is, ask them directly if they're still pregnant. How are you doing with your pregnancy? Not so much about the pregnancy, but how are you doing? Because we always point out the excitement of the baby, and the baby is excited about the baby. We forget about the person that was holding this child. We forget to ask them, how are they doing the adjustment to the nursing, to the diapers, to the sleep habits, because our life changes. Our whole schedule goes upside down. So I think that's an important part, to pay more attention to the moms, during the process of asking them how they're doing. Because obviously baby's doing okay. If mom's okay, baby's going to be okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You said some wonderful things. Basically, everyone is different. All of your daughters were different. And that balance, that's what we find in talking to our moms and birthing people. We find that trying to balance that feeling of, are these emotions something you should pay attention to, or is this serious enough? And I read in some of your writings, everything is serious until you feel as if you've listened enough and you've heard enough, and they feel comfortable enough and safe enough that you don't feel that it's a problem. And that balance also with family, not wanting to, Kassy, she didn't want to be alone. We noticed the difference in Christina. She wanted to be alone, and she was, we thought, avoiding us. We just thought of some of the things you said. Maybe she doesn't feel like she looks her best. Maybe she's not getting any rest, and she doesn't feel as if she was very, very particular about her looks, and so she's very neat and very, like you said, organized, and she wanted things just so, and you can't have things just so when you're going through that big change in your life, and you have to be okay with that. You have to be okay with, I'm not feeling my best, so we didn't want to be pushy. That was where we were. That was a place that we shouldn't have been. We did not want to be pushy. Of course, if we had known what was coming, we would have gone over and wrapped her up and in a cocoon, and took her with us, whether she liked it or not, just so we could say we understood. Well, to get her in that place, like you say, where they will talk and they will listen if necessary, if we can do that for them. So I wanted to ask you. I've been through your site so many times because it so parallels FOZA's site, and of course you lost your baby a couple of years before Christina passed away. But I looked at your mission; it's so similar. Tell us. Go ahead and tell us about your organization mission, the mission that you're trying to fulfill.
Yeah. So exactly what you were just saying, I wanted to kind of go back a little bit when you said she wanted to isolate herself, and where Kassy made these little comments, not wanting to be by herself because she knew what she was feeling. She knew what she was hearing, but she wasn't sharing with us. So I think if there was enough resources, all of us would have been aware. You, me, and every other family member that's going through this, we would have an idea to say, wait a minute, this is the signs, or this is something that's not quite normal there. So that was really one of our big things, I could say to myself, what is the look to depression? What is the look to maternal mental health? There is no look. So I try to make the effort when I do presentations, we take a picture of her, and she has similarities to me, and I tell people, please don't think this is me when I was younger. I'm not that conceited, This is actually Kassy, but what is the look? What is the look, that we so-called look out for? There is any look. There's women that actually suffer, still go to work, still go to school, still go moms, and silently every day struggling to get up, to still do what they need to do for the day. So I think it goes back to lacking enough resources, or lacking enough information to give people the lookout for. And so what we do with Kassy's Quest, so we've done the legwork for many other agencies in our state, and we've consolidated our therapists that have been certified with PSI, which is Postpartum Support International, or similar programs that have been certified with maternal mental health. So they actually work with moms, not just any regular therapist. And we've been able to actually consolidate with incredible home visiting programs. And what that is programs that start from pregnancy all the way up to some 3 years old or some 5 years old. They guide you every single month to meet the mom. Before COVID, it was in person. Some of them are now doing them through virtual, but they're in touch with the mom every month, see how the baby's development is going, how they are going through their pregnancy, need of, whether it's, maybe lacking in diapers, or maybe they're lacking information on something with a Medicaid. Whatever services throughout, they have these programs. We also reached out with some community programs with other assistants besides therapists, so maybe psychiatric assistance for mothers specifically, also other yoga for pregnancies, or after they've had the babies. So what our big support is having those resources for moms to know where to click to, also emergency numbers or lactation consultants, and as well doulas, some that want to go do at home or in the clinic and not have the hospital environment. We have that service as well. But what we recently started about 2 years ago that I'm so proud of is our support group. We have a free twice a month, first, second, Thursday of the month, that we do support groups for moms. And if it's support groups that are specifically for, a loss of a child at birth or a miscarriage, we refer them to who we've partnered up with, which is Postpartum Support International. We have different support groups specifically for moms and dads as well.
That is awesome. And that is the Sharing Hope support group?
That's Sharing Hope.
Okay.
Hope
is
actually the name of my granddaughter would have been. So that really means a lot to us. So Sharing Hope in general, as you mentioned earlier, that word has become so incredible for us because isn't that an incredible word? It's a godly word. I use it as a godly word because that's what we need to have hope in general and everything in life. Just looking at everything that we do.
Well, you certainly have a lot of resources on your site, from hotlines to having people be more aware of the symptoms. And you spoke about your visiting programs. And that's something that's very important because, as you say, many times we're looking at the mommy, but we're looking at how's the baby developing. Is the baby meeting its milestones? Is the baby and no one's really taking a good look at that mommy. No one's if she looks good, if she's hiding something, we may not know, and we need her to know that we're listening, so that while all the attention seems to be going to the baby, we know that attention is going to the mother as well. Mm-hmm. That is something that you do very well.
And I think one of the things too that we've partnered up with another agency with California Policy Center is that we do yearly. It's called Congress. So we go to D.C. to actually be able to speak to our legislators. The importance of being able to have, screening during pregnancy. Some states have it, our state doesn't. There's no mandatory screening. But if there should be a screening once every trimester, which makes the mom comfortable to say, well, actually, yeah, this is the changes that I'm feeling, this is what's going on, then after taking, at Edinburgh, like the ones that are given at 6 weeks, after the baby's born, giving that test, doing that screening 3 times through her pregnancy, it can save so much time. It can save so much heartache. It can save so much of the time that the mom invested to keep quiet, and being able to really be a healthier pregnancy and being the mom that she wants to be afterwards. So many of them, say, if I would have known. They always say to me, if I would have known these are concerning signs, if I would have known, I wouldn't have been so detached from my child the first year, not realizing that postpartum could reach up to a year. We wash our hands for 6 weeks and moms have their babies, not realizing she's taking care of 6 weeks. But guess what? At 4 months, postpartum depression. But because she wasn't told that, let's keep in touch, and share wherever you might feel different, she doesn't say anything. So now we have the news of a postpartum psychosis of a mom hurting a child or the mom hurting herself, and she's evaluated as a mom that wants to maternal health. She's evaluated as a mom that it's crazy that should be in jail. And that for me is we have not really been fair with motherhood. We have not been given this attention. And even for myself, I have my own personal stories that I look back and I go, oh, yeah, I had a miscarriage. And I was told, oh, you're okay, honey. Yeah, I'm going to have kids. And it's more beyond that. Mentally, I was expecting a child. And the more training, the more educated we get, with understanding postpartum depression is beyond more that we really give information to. There's so many people coming to the woods and saying, I need to speak to someone. And because of you, I realize now that I still need to really heal and heal. And I had no idea I needed to heal. I didn't even know I needed to heal until I started this. I think it's really important to really give more importance to what is motherhood.
Because we bury some of those feelings. I never get tired of saying it's not my saying. I picked it up from, I believe, a mom from Postpartum Support International when they said that you're a mommy. Like you said, you had that feeling of having that baby. And so whether your baby is in your arms or in your tummy or in your heart, you're still a mother. And what happens is when people don't see that baby in your arms, they kind of overlook the fact that you're still a mother in your heart, and that can be, that can make you feel deprived when you don't, especially during this time of year when we're getting ready to come up on Mother's Day. That's a very hard time for a mommy who only has her baby in her heart. That is a very hard time.
Our numbers go up on calls on during Mother's Day, during the holidays. They feel empty. And they feel sometimes raw. We know what to expect, We know the referrals that we get from the hospitals. We even get a referral from the therapist for our support group. And they let us know, there's a mom. She's going to call you. She's going to be calling you. And I think I feel blessed that we have an incredible board that has together, made this passion to make the mission to be able to say the field they're in. We have from community health workers to nurses, representatives. Have them there to say, you know what, this could have been my daughter, and how can we really work together? And I think that's what it talks about. Working together as a community is how we be able to help every family member we can. Isn't that what they say? It takes a village to raise a child, and I think it takes the community to be able to really respect the mom that is becoming a woman, is becoming a mother. Yeah.
And just what I was getting ready to say, I know you have ways that you have pulled the community together to make that village. And some of the ways that you do that through some of the events that you hold, the marvelous events that you hold. So go ahead and tell us. I know you have a couple coming up, right?
Mm-hmm. We are very excited. We just had our second annual Maternal Summit, and usually in March because that's the unfortunate month that Kassy passed away. But March, we sometimes change the dates because of our venue availability. But yeah, we have a Maternal Mental Health Summit we hold yearly. We've partnered up with Kendra Scott Jewel every year. This past year, they hold a give back event for us, and we do it around this year's May 11th. It's online besides in person on the 11th. And so Kendra Scott in New Mexico, 70% of their funds for the day they give back to Kassy's cause. And then in June, every year we have a car show. And the story with that car show is my husband actually was building a 1971 Barracuda at the time. Kassy passed away, and she always said, once that car is done, Dad, he goes, I'm the first one to sit there in the car with you. And unfortunately, once that car was done, she was gone. And it really was heartbreaking because she loved those classic cars, and her dad took 2 years to get that car done, and it was done just for master. She passed away, so we decided to buy people would actually surprise us a 1955 Pontiac Chieftain with the same color of our organization, which is teal, which is Kassy's favorite color, teal and white, which we use at our car shows. We decided to start holding, and it means a lot to us because so many people come back every year. They know the cause. We hold with face painting and bouncers and food trucks and music. It's a family event. It's a family event that just brings everybody together with incredible vendors, sharing the information not only in local businesses of what moms have built these businesses, but also local businesses in regarding to maternal mental health information. And then our incredible gala with Day Curtis. Yeah. We hold it in between September and November. Again, it depends on our venue availability. September, again, because that was Kassy and Hope's birthday. So it's September, but this we have in November. Last year we had November as well. And that gala, we have incredible speakers coming from different avenues. Last year we had a news reporter come and share her story. And we had a nurse who opened up a business with herbal teas that helped her maintain, her mental illness that she suffered through her pregnancies. And so I always like to go holistic and also like to go with medication because there's no level of assistance and needs is different. So I pretty much go down the line bias for people to get both information to see which best works for them. So we get incredible speakers, and then we have our local charter school every year comes and puts an incredible show depending on our theme to perform for our gala. And we have, businesses we have our mayor comes every year, Mayor Hall comes every year, and we have other businesses that come and sponsor us, like the hospitals and Blue Cross Blue Shield. I think people come because they realize the importance, and they bring back new people to listen, to hear. And this gala has been incredible for me because I wanted people to understand when I first opened Kassy's Cause, it wasn't just boo-hoo, a mom who lost a daughter. I wanted people to see this is something that could be your daughter, your grandchild, your wife. It's not just my daughter. This is everybody's cause. It's for everybody to get help. And it's becoming that way. And I think we've been blessed. I think we're blessed to feel that, Kassy has not gone in vain. I look at it as a typical way that, she might be one that's gone, but she's an example for other people. One for so many. I think that's what happens in life. Isn't how so many illnesses, sometimes it takes one person to make a difference to others.
Absolutely. Well, I know you're not going to believe it. I can hardly believe it, but our time is coming to an end. And I know in your area, I think, right now there might be some storms, and we're cutting in and out a little bit, but we're going to try to make sure that all of your information is available. Our podcast is not only audible, but it's also visual. So there will definitely be many avenues for people to get through to you, but I want you to go ahead and tell everyone in your own words ways to contact you with Kassy's Cause.
Thank you. Well, through our website, our email and our telephone number is in there, so that's www.kassys.org. That's Kassy's Cause. Then my telephone number is there, 505-603-2988. And that's 24/7, that number that anyone can answer, some information. And our email, which is kassyscausepresent@gmail.com, if any information assistance is needed. And the nice thing is, the support group, we take anyone even out of state has been able to call us. So that support.
Wow, you can read my mind. You can read my mind. I was going to ask you because FOZA works on zip codes, so we would definitely be putting your information in our resource page, and in that area code, of course, we would know that there's a resource, but if people wanted to join your support line and they were not in your zip code, they would be welcome?
Yes. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay then.
And we also speak Spanish as well as needed.
and that's wonderful as well. That is wonderful as well. Susan, I'm so proud of you and what you're doing. I'm so sorry that we met the way we did, but I'm so glad that you've taken the path that you've taken, and I definitely am hoping that you'll come back to the podcast again and tell us the outcomes of your events. Tell us, and go ahead, and definitely we're telling our audience to go out to the website. We know you're going to post out there so we can keep up with what's going on, and we know that because of you and because of your family and because of your work, Kassy lives. And so that's
thank you.
Definitely the truth. So will you come back and see us another time?
Most definitely. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen. I appreciate it.
We are honored, and we just feel that you're going to grow and help so many people. I just want to say before I get off this call, I met Kassy on one of the organizations that we share, which was called 2020 Mom, and is now the Policy Center. But that's where I first met. That's where I first met her. That was the organization that gave me so much information and so much comfort during our grieving period when I went through and I saw Kassy's picture, and that was in 2020. 2019. That was in 2019 because Christina passed away in 2018, and that was 2019. And so from that time, I have wanted to speak with you and hug you in my heart. So I'm so glad that you came. I'm so glad that you came and look forward to speaking with you again. Okay?
Thank you so much, Paul. Thank you. I look forward to meeting you too in person. Thank you.
Well, FOZA fans, that's a wrap for this episode. But you have a list of actions to take here, and it's all laid out for you. If you're listening to audio only, the hope is that you will go over to FOZA's YouTube podcast channel, where you can find direct links to kassyscause.org And you can view the documentary there entitled Kassy's Hope, My Life for Yours. You'll want to check out their local resources as well as their virtual resources that are not restricted by geographical boundaries. And remember, whenever you visit our site, FOZAinc.org, there will be a lot of resources for you there, including a link to Kassy's cause. This is Paulette Smith signing off in loving memory of Christina LaShawn Thompson Adams. Bye-bye.